Live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope everyone's having a good day. Today I'm here with Mike. Hey Mike, how you doing?
You
How's your day?
good so far? Rainy here in Missouri, extremely rainy, but we're surviving. No complaints.
Nice. Um so the way it works, Mike, is because I done like 100 of these in for interviews. But the way it works is because some people don't know who you are. So I'm not trying to do a job interview with you, but I just want to know. Tell me about yourself. You know how they ask those common questions. So tell me about yourself.
Absolutely, man. So I started in IT back in the dial-up internet days before broadband existed. I was hired to do user support when the users called in. I was handed a book and had no clue what I was doing. And when people would call in, I would flip through the book and try to help them out. Grew from there into network admin, sysadmin, working the servers for the ISP and so on in the network. Got into consulting. From there, got into defensive security. Uh, did intrusion detection for the FAA for a while. Defensive side, worked in a SOC. Grew a passion for the offensive side, so I jumped over and did offense for a while, and from there grew into auditing, mostly private sector, PCI auditing, things like that, and slowly started falling into some, contract VCISO rules and so on, and so here I am, man, just plugging away and still learning, still learning.
Awesome. And I guess like I always ask these I like to ask these different questions. So actually what inspired you to get into IT in general?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't I fought IT as hard as I could. My father was in it, and he kind of, I don't want to say forced me, but he's like, you got to check this out, and I did. He drugged me into it, kicking and screaming. But about 6 months to a year into it, I'm like, this is definitely my future. This is it became a passion really fast. But I remember, I mean, I hated computers when I was younger because I just wanted to play video games. I could grab my Nintendo, put a cartridge in and play it, no problems. But I grab a, you know, 5 1/4 inch floppy back then, and I'm trying to play a game. I'm like, there's always something wrong. Like, I hate computers, but grew into it and started to understand them, and thought this is starting to make sense.
Yeah, I definitely not to interrupt you about IT. I'm definitely a big gamer. If
Oh
anyone
yeah,
knows me or watches me or follows me on I guess Discord, I'm a big gamer. I believe it or not, Mike, I have 14,000 hours in one game. I know it sounds crazy, but I have a lot of time. 14,000 hours in one game because I played a lot of video games. So as one of my dad and was it the video games Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast,
yeah, yeah.
PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, but this is not about me, it's about you. So
I
back
like the
into
game. I love the
mhm.
game. I'm just not any good. I got these young kids are always screaming at me, saying, catch up. You're making us lose, and so I just kind of backed out of it. My reflexes aren't what they used to be.
But it's always good to now that we're talking about video games, it's always good to like take a step back and balance yourself out a little bit, and because it's not all about IT. I tell people that sometimes you got to know how to balance it out
You're right.
and just
Yeah.
put time in for yourself to have fun because
Yes.
you only live
Yeah.
one life, right?
Yep.
You got to enjoy life a little bit.
You're exactly right. And I over the years I back when I started early, I was focused so hard on my work, and I would forget to take time out for myself. And I always felt guilty when I was playing video games. And even though I'm no good now, I play once in a while, very rare, but it's like it's just refreshing, you know.
Definitely. And I was gonna ask you because you just got into IT. You just like you didn't like computers. Like how did you like how did you end up liking it anyway? Like that's kind of I'm
You know,
curious about that.
it's a great question. So I didn't like it because I didn't understand it, right? I didn't understand them, didn't know how they worked. They didn't do what I wanted them to do, and but as I spent that first year just starting to figure some of that stuff out because I was forced to, and then I realized, you know what, if I actually put my mind to it and start learning and so on. these things will kind of do what I want them to do. And so that's, and then it was just a challenge. And it became just a challenge to see just how far I could go with it. But yeah, I was definitely kicking and screaming the whole way in the beginning. Definitely.
And I just wanted to ask you, like, for someone, now we're going into the career mindset. So
Yep.
what did you do before IT? Just curious.
Yeah, so I got into IT pretty early. I was about 20 years old, but another kind of life that I had, I was a scuba instructor, and I taught scuba. I actually had a couple scuba shops. I had one in Pennsylvania, I had one in Florida, and I would fly back and forth. And even in my early career in IT, I also still had my dive business. And it was funny because in the very beginning, I didn't like IT, but I was doing it to kind of fund my dive business. But then I realized, I always, well, IT is something that I'm going to fall back on. But then it kind of just took over, and so I ran the two side by side. I had my dive business, and I
Got it. Oh,
dive shops, and just kind of grew from there.
got it. I was gonna ask you, because I know this is gonna be, there's people tend to ask me these questions, and I like to ask this question as well.
Yep.
Like, and I know it's like scuba diving has nothing to do with IT, but I tell people it kind of does, because you're doing customer support or customer service. So anything you do
Yeah.
from a previous job that is
Yep.
customer related, you could always bring it over to a different career. So
You're exactly right.
how much did that help you getting into IT with people skills or soft skills or interacting with people? Just
It
wondering.
helped a lot. It helped a lot. I mean, I was taking people, so I had two stores, and I would train them up and work from these people, and you have to be able to communicate well in order to teach, right? So I learned how to communicate, and started becoming effective at that. And I would take 20 or 30 people on vacation out of the country or wherever, and so a lot of it was coordination. I mean, I had to make sure that the 30 people that are trusting their lives with me out of the country, diving 100 feet in the ocean, like they're literally trusting me with their lives. I have to make sure that I'm being responsible, that I have everything covered, that I have people in place to make sure that they're doing certain things, and you just have to stay on top of it all the time. And for me, just the organization, the communication skills, things like that, I think help in any scenario, whether it's IT, what have you, whatever it is. But that was a huge factor for me because I was always in front of people. I taught at college. I taught scuba in colleges and so on too. And so it was always just being up in front of people, talking, things like that.
And I stress the living hell out of people skills, especially because I know you're in a leadership position right now,
Right.
and a lot of it has to do with, and not to say anything negative about certain people, but the thing is that when you work with C-level folks, you work with executives, you work with VPs, you have to understand that they don't understand this technical jargon mumbo jumbo,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So you got to
Yep.
know how to break it down in a non-technical way where they actually understand what you're talking about, and they don't look at you like you have three heads. So you got to know
Yeah.
how to break it down. So
Absolutely, and I can give you an example of that, right? So years back, I worked for a large chain. It was a large grocery store chain, and this chain had old point of sale systems, and all these point of sale systems, and all of the stores had to be updated. And I could have went to the VPs or the stakeholders and said, "Hey, the encryption on these is, blah, blah, blah. It's not up to what it's supposed to be. So here's why we have to spend money." But they're going to say, well, what the heck does that mean? So you have to break it down to them. You have to explain to them in business terms, right? Basically, these point of sale systems are very vulnerable. If they happen to be attacked, you're not going to be able to take credit cards. You're going to lose X amount of dollars for every hour that we're down. So I had to learn quickly to become the conduit between IT and the stakeholders. So what IT would tell me, I would have to kind of run with that and talk to the stakeholders, but in a non-technical way. And even a lot of times I would sit in meetings where there's 20 of us in the large conference room, and you got the IT team, and you have the stakeholders, the board or whoever, and we're trying to communicate. And many times I had to kind of be the one that, the IT guy would just kind of go on with all his tech jargon, and I had to like stop and say, well, let's break this down into business terms. So
and I wanted to remember. I don't know if you remember the first time I met you. Now I'm gonna go back in time. Remember the first time I met you and we had a live session with both of us. Remember I told you that I want to work cybersecurity, or I want to learn cybersecurity, but I want to learn fundamentals first
Yes.
because I don't know what I'm protecting. Whereas you talked about attacking, right? So
Yep.
how am
Yep.
I supposed to protect something if I don't know what I'm defending?
Yep.
So you
You're
need to
exactly right.
know like the fundamentals, right? And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
why I go over I go over fundamentals first. And I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to bore anyone to death because I know some people don't want to deal with like fundamentals, but you need to know your fundamentals first if you're gonna protect something. Because how are you gonna protect something if you don't know how the infrastructure is set up?
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. And along with even understanding the basics of the infrastructure, it's understanding the organization that you work for, understanding what's important to them, what is their risk, and then aligning, that infrastructure and security along with that, along with the business needs and the business risk.
yeah, definitely. So that's why I remember we had that conversation. I was like, because I talked about how I'm studying security plus, and now I'm
Yep.
learning. I'm diving my hands in security because I'm not a security guy. I tell people I'm not a security
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
You probably won't see me make a video on security. Maybe you will, but I'm not a security
Yeah.
guy because
Yeah.
the reason why is I don't do that. But I want to learn what I'm defending, what I'm
Yep.
protecting, and also it goes back to a lot of things like chain of custody and a
Hmm.
bunch of other things that we I could make videos on, but I don't talk about. But this it goes back to a lot of different things, and obviously for security also it goes back to getting the right management approvals for software that you're installing, for applications you're installing,
Yeah.
because you don't know what vulnerabilities you're creating when you're doing like some sort of upgrade or some sort of patching and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
that's the reason we talk about, like, just make sure you get the right approval and you get the right things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And I hear a lot of people say, a lot of people downplay, if someone wants to get into security and they start with, desktop support, and they downplay that. And in my opinion, even in desktop support or wherever you start entry level, you still play a part of security. Even when when you're doing desktop support, you're communicating with end users, right? And it's your job, in my opinion, to educate that end user when you're checking out, an email that maybe they clicked, or your job is to educate clear from the entry level position and up. So technically, even if someone doesn't label themselves as being in security, we all play our own part, in this field.
yeah, and that's what I tell people, like in help desk, like, because help desk is the first line of support, especially when
Yep.
you're dealing with customers and taking phone calls and everything. And a lot of people that work help desk, they may have access, they may not have access, but sometimes when you work help desk, you have a lot of access to a lot of stuff, and
You're right.
you could break something and you could cause a vulnerability. So you got to know
Yeah.
what you're doing. So a lot of it has to do with educating the users, educating the clients, and educating the people in your team in IT, because
Yep.
you don't want them breaking something in the system that they don't know about. And that's why we have all these annoying like approval changes that you got to go in
Oh
and
yeah. Change
you
control. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
you create all these tickets in, and you got to get all the proper channels to approve, because we don't
Yep.
know what they're going to do if you're doing something on someone's system. So
Yeah. Yep. You're exactly right.
and that's very important. So I know we're talking about security a little bit, but I want to bother you a little more about your stuff. Like, what's your advice for someone brand new to IT? They don't know anything about IT. They're just starting
Yep.
out. They're brand new, like out of college. Like, what do you recommend for someone?
Yeah, I would say the first thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask questions. So, when you have that kind of shield up and you're afraid of, people getting down on you because maybe you're asking what someone else would say is a dumb question, just get rid of that thought process. The InfoSec community, especially on LinkedIn, is a great community, very supportive. So start asking questions, right? The next thing that I would say, and for anyone who follows me on LinkedIn, they already know my opinion on this. Don't start search chasing, right? Gain knowledge, right? And if you're going for the search, great. I don't want to downplay search, but many of these search companies mislead you into thinking if you have X certification, you're going to land that job. My opinion is surround yourself, build your network, on LinkedIn, gain connections, and take care of those connections, engage in their content, learn, and just gain as much knowledge as you can. And then if you really want to have that cert, go get it. But focus on, focus on just gaining knowledge. And to be honest, when I started, I was, I took some courses and stuff online, and I was self-funded, meaning I was slapping these on my own credit card and probably couldn't afford it at the time and probably shouldn't have, but in the end it paid off. But I took so many classes that I could have taken a test at the end, but I didn't take the test because I had to pay, $500 more to take the test. But in my opinion, at the time, I was seeking knowledge gain. I wasn't seeking the cert. And I'll be honest with you, it's never held me back in 25 years.
Yeah, and I was gonna say for anyone that don't know Mike, or anyone that doesn't follow Mike, he has a big following on LinkedIn. Has 17,000 followers.
Somewhere around there. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have a lot of he has a lot of followers, and I wanted to ask you a question going back into LinkedIn. So I guess how important is LinkedIn in your opinion for someone brand new to IT?
For someone brand new to IT or brand new to security, I think it is absolutely important. I think if you if you're trying to get into this field, like I said, you have to be able to gain those connections. And you can gain connections locally, right? Join a local tech group, join a club or whatever. That's great. But if you want to really like open that can of knowledge out there, gain connections online. I think LinkedIn is, I mean, right now, I think LinkedIn's the number one place for IT slash infosec jobs as far as job searches. You can be successful without LinkedIn. I'm not going to say that you can't, but I think it's a major obstacle to try to do it without LinkedIn. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the number of followers you have. I preach about this all the time. It's not the number of followers. It's you want people that engage with your content. You want to engage in their content and learn and build that those relationships.
And that's one thing I teach my students, and that I train and I mentor, is build a genuine connection with someone. Don't
Yep.
connect with someone because you feel like it. The
Yep.
other thing is, make sure if you're adding someone, like there's that add a note feature on adding someone on LinkedIn. So
Yep.
make a little note, like a note that is like a direct message note that makes sense, makes you stand out, and you say,
Yeah.
I'm adding you because I want to learn more about you, or
Yeah.
I'm adding you
Yep.
because I see you're making content on this and I want to learn
Yep.
more about that content. So you want to make sure when you add someone, you don't add them just because you want to have a number in your LinkedIn
Yep.
profile.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what I try to do with people getting into IT or infosec is, I mean, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn just because I love it, I have a passion for it. But I try to also help them with their engagement. I try to give them some visibility. So many times, if I see someone entry level, posting or whatever, I engage with that just to help give them a boost of traffic. So I mean, not to plug my own account, but I mean, feel free to connect or whatever. I mean, I'll be happy to help you just kind of grow your own personal brand because that's really, you have to take care of your own personal brand in this industry, so that it basically creates you job security over the years.
Yeah, that's the one thing I forgot to mention is Mike is very approachable. He likes to help people. We spoke about this. We had a one-on-one conversation before this, that he's a huge he's huge when it comes to helping people. So he definitely spend like a solid, like, you get like probably like hundreds and hundreds of messages a day, right? You spend a couple of hours trying to
Crazy.
answer each message that you get
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and people think I'm crazy, but I answer unless it's spam, right? I answer every message. I do it in the evenings and weekends or whatever. I'm able to keep up with it right now. The other thing that I do that I think's helped a lot is, when someone comments on my material that I put out on my content, I reply to literally every comment. And at some point, I'm not going to be able to, but I'm able to right now because if someone takes the time to, you know, um, put something or take the time out of their day to comment on one of my posts, and it's a thoughtful comment. I mean, I'm not just going to leave it hang there. I reply because I want them to know that, like, hey, I read that, I heard you.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's why I wanted to reach out to you, because a lot of people that I talk to, they're either helping someone or they're changing the game for everyone. Because
Yeah.
and I'm not that old, but I'm saying, like, back in the days, like, we didn't have any of these free resources, and now we have so
Oh, I
many
know.
free. It's like so much right now.
I
It's like so
know.
many free resources right now. And you have so many people trying to help, and I had to get you on my LinkedIn, and I had to get you on my YouTube channel because I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you for helping individual people that are brand new to IT. So that's why I wanted to get you on my channel.
Well,
So
I appreciate it. And honestly, I'm going to plug you for a second. I've been totally impressed by the channel that you run and what you're doing. You're involved, you're spread out, you're kind of all over the place. I think what you're doing's phenomenal. So I'm assuming everyone watching is already following this guy. If not, do it. Do it. You're fantastic.
yeah, I'm trying to tell people that are brand new to IT or people that are watching my channel. I'm trying to break the damn ATS system, and I'm trying to help people get into jobs and get into IT
Oh,
because I
yeah.
get really frustrated with job requirements. I get frustrated with hiring managers that are
Yep.
gatekeeping as well. I only want
Yep.
to I could go on a rant about that,
Me
but
too,
the thing
buddy.
is, I get
Yeah.
frustrated with certain things. So
I'm going to offer a piece of advice for people. Just, I will say, and I've seen this because I've been doing this for 25 years. When you see those, if you're entry level, right, you're trying to break into this field, and you look on Indeed, you look on Dice, you look on LinkedIn, and you see all these jobs, but they all say, maybe 1 to 3 years experience or 5 years experience. I see so many people walking away from that just because it says that. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Many of these job descriptions are templated descriptions, right? Or what I like to call wish lists, right? So the HR departments, they don't know what they're writing up, recruiters or what have you. Put your resume, if it's a job that you really want and you think you're qualified for it, man, apply. Like throw your resume out there. Who cares if they're looking for 3 to 5 years experience? Because it might be that they look at your resume and say, you know what, this guy doesn't have 3 to 5 years, but he looks pretty smart. And you get into an interview with them, and once they meet you, now you get to use those soft skills to try to communicate well, try to show your drive, ambition, technical skills that you've learned, however, but don't walk away from these jobs that say like 3 to 5 years experience. Just throw it out there anyhow. Because what's gonna hurt? You might get an interview and you might not get the job, but from every interview that you've taken or done, it's more experience that you have going through that process.
yeah, and I say that as well. Like I preach that as well. And sometimes it's like you never know unless you try. So apply
Yeah,
and see what happens
yeah,
because I see in thing is with me, Mike, if you know anything about me, I'm a technical instructor, technical trainer as
yep,
well, aside of
yep,
YouTube, outside of my full-time job. And I worked with over 500 students. And some people that apply to jobs, or some students that I work with that apply to jobs, they apply to unrealistic jobs and they get the job anyway
yep,
because the
yep.
manager likes their personality, not because of technical skills. Sometimes it's not your
Yes.
tech skills. Sometimes it's is if I'm willing to work with this person and they have a nice personality, I guess I'm going to give them a chance and
Oh
I'll
yeah.
train them.
People have to spend, I've hired many people over the years, and when I was hiring people, I was hiring for, yes, you want technical skills, but also, can I spend 8 hours a day with this person? Is this someone who's going to contribute positively to my team? Because we spend a lot of time in our lives working with our associates. So you're absolutely right. Like I hire a person for like who they are, not necessarily what type of code they can write. Because we can teach the technical skills, but I can't teach drive, I can't teach ambition, and I certainly can't teach personality or attitude.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell my students is I'm not telling you to be too soft skills related, but try to be in the middle, somewhere in the middle, because the thing is that some hiring managers they like soft skills, and that's because you're
Yep,
dealing with customers, you're dealing with clients, you're dealing with people.
yep,
You have to know how
yep,
to engage with people, and we don't want someone that is a bad representation to the company, and then the manager or whoever hires that person is going to regret that decision, and then they're going to say, "Man,
yep.
why did I hire this guy or girl,
Oh
whoever it
yeah,
is?" That's why they I don't know why
yep.
you hire this person. They have a bad attitude, like
You
you
can
know.
hire the smartest person in the world that has 85 certifications, but if they can't communicate and they don't have drive and the attitude and personality that fits your company and what you stand for, it's going to be a hard stop failure.
Yes, definitely. It's like that's the one thing I preach is people skills,
Yep,
especially with me because you know anything about me, Mike, I done executive support. I deal a lot with C-level folks,
yep,
and a
yep,
lot of it has to do with trying to be nice and polite, have empathy, know how to break something down in a
Yeah.
non-technical way where they
Yep.
understand you. Don't look at you. They don't look at you like you're an alien
Because
or
you're
you
digging
have
into
three
their
heads.
you're digging into
Yeah,
their pockets. You're asking them
yeah,
to spend money on a budget that that you're trying to prioritize. So you have to have that communication means and that trust.
yeah. And you're believe it or not, anyone that does help desk or IT support or desktop support, you're building a relationship with that person that you're helping, and and it builds your IT rep,
Yep.
because what I tell people is when you build your IT rep, they're gonna say that, oh, Mike was so nice to me, he took care of my issue, I think you should go and talk to him,
Yeah.
he'll fix that issue right
Yep.
away. You'll build reputation from other because people
Yeah.
talk.
And how
So
many times do you find yourself doing end user support for someone that's either the owner of the company, the president, the VP, because everybody needs support, and it's being able to make those connections.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, you build your clientele and your reputation, and everyone starts talking about you. And then sometimes that
Yep.
happens is they don't even make a ticket; they just jump and go to you because they know you fixed
Yep.
the problem. So,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
how it is.
Yep. You're right. You're right.
It happens a lot with me, by the way. Like I help somebody, and then everyone starts messaging me on Teams
They want you
or
back.
Slack or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's a good and bad thing too. It's a good and
yeah,
bad thing.
it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's also a bad
Yeah.
thing. And so,
You're
but
right.
it does happen when you build a good relationship with your clients. Like they love you. Like I even had someone take me out to eat because I take care of their issues,
Oh yeah.
IT issues. So you build those
Yeah.
relationships with people in your job, and
It
also
matters.
when you do that too, is that you have like recommendations and stuff like that, because people will talk
Oh
about
yeah.
you and then they will recommend you if you're
They
going
know
to a
you.
different job and stuff like
Yep.
that.
It's
So
all, personal branding starts very early in the career. It really does. Yep.
hmm
It's all part of your brand.
definitely. So Mike, I know we talked a little about everything, but I'm gonna bother you again, ask you another question. What's your advice for someone that is trying to I guess they have issues with interviewing? What's your advice for that?
Practice. So we just not too long ago, the team that I work for, we actually do mock interviews with people trying to get into the field. And I would say any chance you get to, especially if you're afraid of interviews and you're a little intimidated, practice makes perfect, like anything else. So practice with different people. Even if it's a fake or a mock interview, just get yourself out there and this is again what part of LinkedIn's for, is creating those connections and asking people, hey, can I spend 20 minutes you just interviewing me, and to just practice and be be confident. Just try. The more you practice, the more that confidence is going to be there.
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that you guys don't know about me. On Discord, I actually started a I'm gonna start doing a soft skills talking interaction like general
Good
voice
idea.
chat kind of deal, like similar to I don't know, Mike. Do you know Toastmasters?
I
You
don't
ever heard
think. No.
Toastmasters is basically it's a platform you go to, and they make you talk in front of everyone and make you present in front of everyone to get you out of your comfort zone.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. Yeah.
Toastmasters does that. So they basically they make you get up, they make you present, and then you talk
Yeah.
with a group of people, and then
Okay.
you break the ice and you interact with people. That's a group you could join. It's called
Yeah.
Toastmasters. And obviously, that's not free, but you could go and
Right.
join one, and
No, I
then they
like that.
actually give you like leadership roles and like they give you like leadership advice and how
Yep.
to engage with leadership and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
And the thing is, don't be afraid of failure, because every interview you get, even if you fail that interview, it's you're still gaining from that. So, I have failed at many things, and I still will fail at many things, but I've reached a point where I'm not afraid of that. And I think once you reach that point, and as Caesar says, always have a can-do attitude. Um, I think that's going to make a big difference.
yeah, I tell people, Mike, that one of the first things I teach my students, and you can ask Caesar because Caesar is one of my students. It's funny that he's in chat
Awesome.
right now. One the
I see you, Caesar.
first thing I teach Mike is embrace rejection.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and I made a post about this months ago, right? So, like, not even tech related, but in sales, right? A good number in sales is 3 to 5%. if you're selling widgets and your sales ratio is 3 to 5% of your clients, that's considered pretty good, right? So if you think about it, if you're trying to sell yourself for a job and you do 100 interviews, well, 3 to 5 yeses out of those 100 interviews is 3 to 5%. So rejection is absolutely part of the process. And every time you get rejected, think of it as you're one step closer to nailing that, to nailing that gig.
Yeah, I tell people, like, even students, like anyone that I train, the first thing I do is I don't teach you IT stuff. I
Yep,
teach you mentality stuff, like your mindset. So I like
absolutely.
literally the first thing I teach is mindset, because if you don't
Yeah,
have the right mindset, you're not going to be able to get a job in
you're
IT.
right. Yep, yep.
So
Totally agree.
that's literally the first thing I teach is a mindset in IT, which is the mindset of IT for me is having the right mindset not to give up. Because a lot of people, what they
Oh
do
yeah,
is when they get the first job in IT or apply, they give up immediately. But then you got to take a step back. Maybe your
yeah,
resume needs help. Maybe you're lacking with soft skills. Maybe you're lacking with tech skills. You don't know. So don't
absolutely.
give up. Don't give up, and have that I don't give up attitude. Like, just keep
Yep.
going. Someone will give you a chance. Someone will open a door for you, and you got to
Failure
embrace
is,
rejection.
yeah, you're
Hmm.
right. Failure is part of a later success.
Hmm. I always talk about that because I've been through my failures. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm perfect, because no one's perfect.
Yep.
So I've been
And
through my failures in life. Me, Mike. If you don't know anything about me, if you watch any of my old videos,
yeah,
I used to be 200 pounds. Now I'm 145
that's
pounds.
crazy. Yeah.
And I
Good for
lost
you,
all that
buddy.
weight because I didn't give up, because of my
Yeah.
mindset, is my attitude towards life. So
Yep.
it's a life kind of thing. I know it's not tech related, but actually it is at
Yep.
the same time. So you got
Yep.
to have a mindset kind of thing. And you could ask my students, like anyone that's in here in chat, and students, like my students that I work with,
Yeah.
like I literally motivate the living hell out of you. Like I'm like
That's,
I'm
you're a
I'm like
coach.
your mentor.
Yeah.
I'm your coach. I'm your trainer.
Yeah.
I'm your pizza enthusiast, because I love pizza. I push the living hell out of you, and I tell you you could do it. You could get on the grind. You could do it. I
Yep.
don't care what anyone tells you,
Yep.
and I don't care all the negativity. What anyone tells you you can't do it, I don't believe it. Just listen. Don't
I
listen to them.
agree.
Do your thing.
And yep, and be okay with failing because,
Yes.
again, I think Winston Churchill, his quote was, "Success is the ability to overcome multiple failures without loss of enthusiasm." Something like that. I messed that up some, but if you think about that, it's true.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you some other questions, actually. So
Hmm.
what is I guess, because we get this, I get this asked a lot. So for you, what's your thought on Security Plus? Do you need it? Do you not need it? Should you get it? Should you not get it?
Okay. Yeah, you know me with these questions. So here's the thing. I'm not going to downplay any security certification, right? If you have the time and the budget to go through and get your Security Plus, um, then go for it. It's certainly going to help, right? It's not going to be to your disadvantage at all. It's definitely going to be to your advantage. However, right, what I see, the part that gets me is when I see so many people that they're struggling because they're working 3 jobs to support their family, right? They're barely making it, um, but they're told if they go pay and get this Security Plus that they're just going to land that job. It's not a magic ticket, man. And so my I mean I don't have my Security Plus, I don't have too many certifications. I really don't because I never became a cert chaser. So my thing is that I'm going to tell you is gain that knowledge, and if you can gain the knowledge and have the means to take that test and put that notch on your belt, go for it. But if you're looking to get a job, and change your life, no certification is going to do that for you. It's all about knowledge gain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anyone knows anything about me, the first thing I do is I give you all the free resources that you could possibly get, because
Yep.
there's like so many free things out there, and I will give
Yeah.
you free stuff first before I even charge or an arm and a leg, because
Yep.
the economy is extremely bad right now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to know how to take advantage of the free resources and try not to pay
Absolutely.
anything.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, and I saw Kevin says, Sec Plus is good for HR. You're right. It can be good. There's a couple ways of thinking about that, right? So it can be good for HR because there are many automated tools that HR is using, and they're looking for keywords and stuff. However, right, you also have to think about the company that you're working for. So they're not only interviewing you, you're interviewing them too, because you're given 8 hours of your day, 40 hours a week or more of your time. So you want to find a company that has an open-mindedness. So, if I had an HR department, tell me, well, we're only going to hire if you have Security Plus. From my end, I'm going to say, I don't know if this is a company that I want to work for, because as I grow in my career there and I want to build a team later, am I going to be hiring guys that can I only look at guys with a Security Plus? So, like, you're interviewing them at the same time. So if an HR department tells you that, then I would also question, like, tell me why. Tell me why. Would you rather have someone that has just that certification that maybe can't pass an extremely technical interview, or would you rather have someone that can pass an interview but might not have that cert? So
Yeah, that's why we go back to I go back to home labs. So a lot of people have home labs. They have projects that they work on. So
yeah,
don't be afraid
yeah,
to do home labs. And because I the thing is, I
exactly.
train so many people in IT that the thing is, there are several ways to get into IT. There is like no cert. There is I have a cert. There is I have a degree. There is I just got the job because I know someone. There's like so many. There's so many different avenues of getting a job in IT. So that's the thing with IT is that there's so many avenues. So you gotta see how you get in. Everyone gets in differently. So I think Mike is Mike. Are you there? Mike froze, I think. So yeah, that's the other thing. It's very important that you get yourself out there and see what happens. You never know. Yeah, he actually cut out a little bit. So yeah, definitely home labs are important. And I tell people to do home labs. I think Mike cut out for a second, so I'm waiting for him to come back. I think he cut out. You message him. Give me a second, guys. Cut out of the conversation for some reason. But yeah, I tell people definitely do your stuff. Home labs are gonna help you. There you are. I'm like, what happened, Mike? There we go. Just trying to fix it.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Probably gotta change the speaker settings.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
Yeah, sorry about that. We are getting crazy storms here, and it just totally knocked my internet out. Like somehow I
Okay.
got it back though. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
all right. I was about because I know I do IT support, so I was about to make a ticket for you. But we're not gonna do that today. It's
If
okay.
I could show you out my window, it is like poor. It's crazy. It's crazy here in Missouri. So anyhow.
Yeah, I was gonna. What I was saying is that because I worked with a lot of students. So thing is that in IT it gets very like when someone gives me asks me a question about how to get started in IT, it's kind of hard for me to answer that question because
Yeah.
you can get a job with no cert, you get a job with a cert, you could get a job
Yep.
with having a degree,
There's
you
no
get a
blueprint.
job with just knowing someone or someone puts your resume in the door. There's
Yeah.
like several ways to get a job in IT, so it's kind of hard for me to
Oh
give
yeah.
you advice
There's
on
no
that.
blueprint, and it's whatever works for you. I mean that's the thing. It's just whatever works for you. There's no direct path. You know. It's
Yeah,
just the one thing that does work that I'll say is just persistence. If you stay persistent, no matter what path you take, you will find yourself something.
yeah, exactly. That's the one thing I preach is there's more than one way to get into IT. There's several ways to get into
Absolutely.
IT. So you just find that door and go into it, and eventually
Yeah.
you'll get into it. So
Yep. Absolutely, buddy.
yeah. So what I guess we talked about like Security Plus and everything like that. So all the other certs and everything. But what's your take for someone that is trying to get into security?
For someone that's trying to get into security, you mean whether they have do they already have an IT background or not?
Yeah, so like they work help desk, for example. How can they transition to security? I know security is big. It's like so many different jobs. But what are your thought process?
So good question. So I would say pick one of three paths, right? Or think about one of three paths. You got offense, and these aren't the only paths, right? But these are the three that I can talk about all day. You have offense, right? The pen testing side, vulnerability assessments, things like that. Defense, working in a SOC, intrusion detection, threat detection, things like that. And then you also have the auditing / GRC compliance side of it. Pick a sector, right? And I'm just going to go with offense for now. So if I'm going into offense, but I'm coming from an IT background, you already have an advantage because you understand what a network is, you understand what TCP/IP is, you understand some of those things. And even if you still don't have a solid background on that, that's okay. But if you're going to go into offense, learn some tools, right? Learn tools like Nmap. And I'm not saying this is your absolute ticket, but learn tools like Nmap. And tools like Nmap will allow you to do recon against maybe your own home lab environment. Be careful, your own home lab environment. But you can learn what different ports do. You can learn kind of what sits in the background of systems. Learn tools such as Nessus or OpenVAS or even the Kali operating system that has a ton of tools built into it. So just there's many lists of industry standard tools out there, and so many of them are free and don't cost a thing. There's community versions of even professional tools that you can at least try out and do demos of it. Get your hands on those. If you're going to go into the auditing side, learn frameworks, learn what the CMMC is, learn what NIST is, learn some of those frameworks, learn what PCI is, meaning the credit card side of the industry, things like that. If you're going to go into defense, learn tools such as Wireshark, learn packet analysis, learn how to do research on threats, what's active, what are the bad actors doing, what are the latest threats, things like that. So it just comes back to picking a path. Don't try to do them all because it's going to be too broad. Pick a path and then follow one of those paths.
That is like the best advice I heard from my cybersecurity person.
Well, thanks.
You actually gave me advice on different paths of cybersecurity for different people that are trying to get into like IT. So they have help desk experience, so they want to know. Okay, do I want to do the blue team? Do I want to do the red team?
Yep.
Do I want to do the purple team?
Focus on one. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That makes.
I've said this in previous posts too. Then let's see if I can mess this up. Learn a little about a lot instead of a lot about a little. So pick a path, right? Pick offense. Learn it, as well as you can, but then find a point where okay, it's deep enough, and this also depends on what your long-term plan as a security person wants to be. If you want to be just a red teamer, well, then stick with that path. Go as deep as you can, right? But if you want to be someone who can kind of level up over the years and get into management, CISO roles, the C-suite, whatever they call it, then in my opinion, you need to have a wide array of all of those sectors. So I'm not, and I'd like to say this, I am not an expert in anything, but I know a little about a lot of different things, and that's what's helped me.
That is one thing that I always tell people. When people tell me, what do you know about IT? I know nothing because I'm always learning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always say.
Absolutely, man.
That's my quote. I know nothing because I'm always learning.
Yep, you're exactly right. And every day I get upset because I find something else that I don't know, and then that's just something else I got to learn. And I see acronyms. I mean, I've been in the field for 25 years, but I run across acronyms like, what the heck's this? And I Google, I'm like, oh, crap, I should have known that 10 years ago, So.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. So I was going to ask you a LinkedIn question. Actually, I have my own. I wanted to ask you my own LinkedIn question. So what? Yep. I guess what inspired you to because I'm on you, I'm spying on you on LinkedIn a little bit, but
That's
what
okay.
inspired you to
Just so you know, I spy on you too. So there you go.
So, what inspired you to make LinkedIn posts with pictures of things you're doing and things of yourself? Because I seen like every time you make a picture, and
Yep.
it's like a picture with a post of something that you're doing or something about you or something that you're teaching,
Yep.
like a life experience. Like, what got you inspired to do that on LinkedIn?
Well, it's a risk every time, right? So, and this is crazy because it doesn't make sense. I was never one to like do selfies, right? But I was just messing around one day, and I had someone tell me. I took a selfie and made a post, right? And just kind of like I was transparent. I try to be transparent and real, and just tell people what I'm about. And I got a couple messages over the next week or so that said, "Hey, it's weird that you do selfies on LinkedIn," but however, they said, "I feel like you're looking right at me when I read your material." This one particular person, she said, "I feel like you're looking right at me," and she said it speaks to me, and so I just kind of like that felt good, right? Because it is different. Not everybody does it. And the crazy thing now is there's like this trend now of more people doing it. And I'm seeing socks and sandals in different people's posts and stuff. But for me, it's just been I try to be real. I try to be transparent. Um, no matter what level of IT or infosec you work in, we all have our problems. We all have our real lives. It's not this big shiny dream. So I just try to be real about that. That's the big thing. And now it's just so slowly, right? Accidentally, it's somehow turned into. I've had people say it's kind of like your brand now, right? So I just stuck with it, I guess.
Yeah, I see you post daily pictures and you put like life lessons in there for someone that is, I guess, trying to get into IT or just life in general. You make different
Yeah.
posts on different things. So I remember following you and I'm like, this is interesting. And I just clicked on it and I'm like, oh, this is pretty
The
cool.
biggest problem I have on LinkedIn is I need more characters. The character limit is horrible because, like, in every post I try to tell a story, right? And I'm telling you, every single post I have to backspace 3 paragraphs out because I'm over the limit. So then I have to go back and pick what I want to post. But I get picked on because of my long posts. But it's just I'm just trying to tell a story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the like with me is like I want to give someone like career advice on IT, and
Yeah.
if I were to write everything up, I won't be able to fit it. Like it's just
Oh, I know.
not gonna
Yeah,
fit.
I know. I
It's
know.
not.
And now lately I've played around with just a little bit of video. I haven't done a whole lot, but I've been having fun with that. So who knows? Who knows where we'll go?
What's your And I'm gonna ask you because we spoke about this, and you're gonna be like, oh man, he talked about this. Why is he mentioning this? All right.
It's okay.
So what's your what's I guess what's your advice for someone that is having writer's fatigue or writer's block on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Yep.
I know we
I
talked
have it
about
all.
this.
I have it. I have it all the time.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah. So I'll back up. So I think one thing for LinkedIn is to have consistency, right? But with consistency, it also means putting out good content. And I just made a post about fruit here, I think yesterday, right? Put out fruit that other people want to take home and not put back on the shelf. For me, my secret is turn the phone off, turn everything around you off, right? Where you have no distractions. And a lot of times I will literally sit there in my chair and just stare out the window for 30 minutes and try to think of a post. And I'll get it in my head. And then I'll turn everything back on and then I'll go back at it again. For me, that's the only thing that works. Otherwise, my OCD, if I get a notification in Facebook, of LinkedIn, Twitter, I go down, I got to go. If I have a notification, I have to read it. But you have to just take time, right? And just you have to disconnect to be able to think. And that's what I do. I also look for inspiration too. So I'll look at other people's posts and look at what they're struggling with and then try to help them with something that I just saw they struggled with.
Yeah, that makes sense. I talk about learning, but I also talk about like taking breaks and
Yeah.
take advantage of PTO. If a job gives you PTO, like
Oh yeah.
please take your PTO.
Yeah.
Please
Any
time
any
off.
any place that if you're working here, I'll just say this: demand right now in this field, both IT and infosec, is higher than it's ever been, right? And it's only going to get worse. So with that said, if you're in this field or aspiring to get into this field and you're gaining knowledge, you do have an advantage, right? And what I'm trying to say is, if you have to argue with a company to use your PTO or explain to them why you need to use it and wait for them to maybe approve it, go somewhere else, because we've all seen a great resignation the past 2 years. Take care of yourself, man. You only live once, and I don't care how much money you're making. Companies will work you to death, and we're all replaceable. I'm replaceable. Everybody here is replaceable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think for a second that none of us are, you're wrong, because there's a lot of demand, but it's also very competitive too, because there's people learning more stuff than we are every single day. So take that PTO and take care of yourself.
Yeah, my sensei always told me, because I do judo, so my sensei always told me that I know you're exercising, I know you're training, I know you're working out, but there's always going to be someone out there that's better than you. So don't compare yourself to anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I also struggle with, I didn't even know what it was until I started using LinkedIn heavy. There's this thing they call imposter syndrome. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
I didn't even know what that was. If someone would have said it to me 3 months ago or 6 months ago, I'd have been like, what is that? And just to try to describe it, it's basically feeling like you're not good enough to be doing what you're doing. And I'll be honest, I struggle with that every day. I think we all do, but I think it keeps us in check, because I think once we, we're good at this, we don't need to learn anymore. I think if you're not always struggling with that a little bit, I think it's a good thing to have some of that. But I didn't even know what that was. But I feel like that all the time. I get thrown into jobs and positions and contracts and stuff, and I think, why are they hiring me? And like, there's so many people better than me. But you just have to just be confident.
Yeah, I tell people that, or my students, I tell them that if you make a mistake today, it's okay, because you have tomorrow.
Yep.
You're always going to make mistakes, and no matter what job you work in IT, whether you're new or not new, or you're starting out, it doesn't matter, but you're always going to make mistakes in IT, and you embrace learning, you embrace from what you did, and you go on to your next job or go on to the next thing you're doing. It's always going to be mistakes.
Yeah, some of the best things I've learned have been from really bad mistakes. Mm-hmm. You tend not to make them twice.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always learn every day from mistakes that I make, and I embrace it. I move on, and if I make it again, it's like I slap myself in the hand. I'm like, okay, I gotta stop doing that again. Stop doing that.
Yep.
So, but it's always good that the thing is with mistakes and stuff like that. I also do is I try to be I think we talked about this, but I try to be the one that knows less in the room, because I like to be the one that knows absolutely nothing, because I like to learn from other people. That's just how I am.
Yep. If you are, I say this all the time, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And then we go to a different room, because with me is I like to be surrounded by someone that's way smarter than me, because I absorb their information like a sponge, whoever that person is.
So, yeah, you're exactly right.
That's As actually that I spoke about that. So Mike, just not to cut you off a little bit because I'm interviewing you, but if you guys are watching watching this live, I just created a Udemy course. So I actually spoke about this in the Udemy course. Is surround yourself with someone that's smarter than you. In order for you to learn, you got to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. That's the only way you learn.
Yeah.
The other thing I spoke about on that video that I made, or that course I made, is I spoke about and this controversial is the other thing I spoke about is you need to hang out, you need to learn from people, even if you don't agree with them. There's always someone is always going to teach you something, even if you don't like that person or you don't agree with that person. They're going to teach you something. It doesn't matter who it is. So I talked about that a little bit.
It's called pushback. Yeah, people push back, and sometimes it forces you to dig a little deeper, do a little more research, and come out of it a lot smarter than you were.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So those are the because I actually I created a course in Udemy, and I one video. I said 7 things that will make you successful in IT if you want to grow in IT, and those are the 2 things I spoke in a few other ones. So it should be real soon. I'm waiting for Udemy to approve my course.
That's awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, so I spoke about that, and it's not like it's like it's videos like videos I made, like not from YouTube. It's like other types of videos. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So I'm trying to because I wanted to make a course for IT support, which is what I did, and I'm gonna make another one that's a little more advanced with from A to Z. And that one will be like paid to go. So if you have no money and you wanna dig into learning
That's
entry
cool.
level stuff,
Yeah.
you could just go ahead and learn it. So
Yep.
I'm trying to give away like as many free things as I possibly can because
Yeah.
I came with not having anything, Mike. So that's why. So
You're making waves, man. I highly respect what you're doing. It's why we connected a while back, and I follow you closely and watch what you're doing. And dude, you're way ahead of where I was when I was your age. I'm gonna sound really old now, but you're way ahead of where I was. So yeah, you're gonna make a lot bigger change than what I ever could.
yeah, I'm trying. Thank you, Mike. I'm trying to change the world and just change the way things are in IT because
Yeah.
there's like so many things out there that are like there's so many gatekeepers, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely.
it
Yep.
drives me nuts.
Me
So
too.
I'm trying to break that. I'm trying to break gatekeeping. So it's just what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing that annoys the hell out of me. And I'm just trying to make waves over here and just trying to
Yeah.
change everything.
Yep.
So
Totally get it. Totally get it.
and I'm not an influencer or any of that. I don't believe in those words. I'm just
I
trying to
hate
help
that
people.
word.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just trying to help people.
I hate
So
that word. Makes my skin crawl. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So,
just someone who tries to help steer people in the right direction. And sometimes my advice sucks. Like, but it is what it is. Take it or leave it.
hmm And then I also spoke about remember we spoke about like taking breaks in IT and learning IT, but also the other thing is make sure that like anyone that's watching right now in live, make sure you don't become obsolete or outdated. Just make sure you're
Yeah.
learning. Make
Yep.
sure you're learning because if you become obsolete and outdated, your resume is not gonna stick. Your resume is not gonna be good. You're gonna have a
Oh
bad
yeah.
resume. So make sure
Yep.
that
Yeah.
even if you're not looking for a job, make sure you stay up to date in
I'm still
technology.
waiting for someone to still waiting for someone to hire me for my NT4 Windows 2000 MCSE years ago. Still have that, but it's
Yeah.
expired a long time ago.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, Mike. Like
I do. Absolutely.
you cannot be obsolete. You gotta constantly learn technologies. I'm not telling you to learn everything. I'm just saying just constantly like
Yep.
try to learn a little bit of
Yeah.
something at least because when you go to the job market, you don't want to be like, oh man, I don't know what that technology is. Oh, I don't know this. I don't know that. You know,
Oh
just
yeah, and much of that comes from just being having a passion for what you do. Because if you have a passion for what you do, you're gonna eat it, sleep it, breathe it. If you don't have a passion for this field, you're gonna have a rough time. So, as I always said, chase your passion, not the money. If you chase your passion, the money will come. If you chase the money, it might not ever come.
definitely that my passion is told you, Mike, my passion is to help as many people as I can get
Yep.
jobs. I helped 300 people get jobs last year, and I helped 150 people get jobs the year before.
Yeah,
So,
I don't count. I have no clue. Every once in a while, someone tags me, or they'll send me a personal thanks. And just had someone I've been working with for about 6 months, just landed an awesome job at Home Depot. I can't mention his name yet, but kudos to him. And all I did was, I can't take any credit. All I did was try to steer him in the right direction. He actually had a lot more experience than I had, but just reached out and asked for help. And kudos to him, and he stuck with it. So most of us are connected to him. We'll be seeing it soon.
yeah, that's nice, Mike. Nice work,
Yeah,
man. Good job. You get
it was him. It was him.
but any advice helps. Like if you're giving someone advice, but sometimes someone just needs to be steered the right
Yeah,
way. Like, that one thing the thing is important is when you then let's talk about mentors a little bit actually. Now that we
yeah.
talk about this, what are your thoughts on mentors?
I think mentors are great. So my opinion would be don't stick to one mentor, right? Surround yourself with many mentors. And the thing too is I see people only wanting someone that's like a CIO or a CISO or someone higher up as mentors. And you might be surprised. Even people in an entry level position can still be a mentor to you because people have different perspectives. So don't just choose one, right? choose multiple and take advice from all of them. That's my opinion.
In my opinion, for mentors, I think it's important for someone, especially if someone doesn't have the right drive, the right motivation, because what happens is when you're brand new to IT, you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I'll wait till next week. No, I'll wait till the next day. And if you don't
Yep.
have someone pushing you, you may not want to do it.
Yep, I agree. So yeah, and I think I misunderstood your question too. So for mentors themselves, I mean, absolutely. If you have to have a passion for it, you have to have a passion for mentoring. And I always try to be upfront with the people I'm mentoring, and I said that, like, you can take my advice, but there's risk in taking my advice too, right? This is just advice for what worked for me. It might not work for you, but all I'm trying to do is just help share what has worked for me.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes, like I said, it's the motivation part, because people that are new, they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't have any motivation to do anything, and you just need someone to. You need not to say anything bad, but you need someone to kick you in the butt. Like, come on, you gotta do it, do it up. So.
Well, yeah. And someone asks, how do you approach someone to be your mentor? Just ask. I mean, I don't think there's any method to it. I mean, I people message me, and it just be honest. Tell your story. I will say, I get messages. They just say, "Will you be my mentor?" But then I get messages that tell me their kind of their story and what they're struggling with and how much of a difference it would make to them. So just be authentic, be yourself.
Definitely. All right, Mike. It was a pleasure talking to you. I want to keep you here for 5 hours. I want to keep you for 5 hours. I mean, we can keep you here for 20 hours if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that today. And I don't want to see you get struck by lightning either while we're live.
Man. Yeah, it's crazy.
But I'm gonna put you on the big screen right here. Like I do that with every person that I interview. What's your advice for someone brand new to IT?
Brand new to IT, I would say, if you're brand new to IT and you're looking to just learn, like, develop a passion for it, gather as much resources as you can, and Google and YouTube, man. Just and get some mentors, and just work as hard as you can, and find something that you like to do. Don't chase the money, because you might think, I want to be a programmer because they make this much more, or I want to be in defense because they make this much more. Do whatever your passion is, and success will follow that. So
awesome. With that being said, guys, you guys can follow him on LinkedIn. He's on LinkedIn.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
and I'm gonna put his LinkedIn in this video below in the description, so you guys can go follow him and ping him.
Thank you.
Don't message him at 1 a.m. Please do not do that. Because he's human. But
I love creating connections. So yeah, please follow me, or don't even follow me. Connect to me. Send a connection. Because I don't just want you to follow me. I want to connect with you as well. So
yeah, so just add him, follow him, watch his stuff. He has a lot of good stuff, by the way. So thank you, Mike, for coming here today to talk. I appreciate everything you do. Let me keep you here a little bit because I still want to talk to you, and then after that, I'm gonna end the stream right now. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
See ya.